What are you?
I'm Megan.
This is my explanation of the 2023 horror movie Megan. Today I'll go over some details of what makes this movie so good. Let's start. First of all, let me commend James Wan, and all those who are involved in making a sophisticated, complicated, campy but enjoyable horror movie in a small package. And that's no pun intended. This movie shouldn't be this good, but there's a reason why people like it, and the reason why I'm talking about it. That's because there's an intelligence behind this movie Megan, with a well-structured storyline woven through the entire movie. There's so much more to this movie than what meets the eye, it's so much more. The advertisement doesn't do it justice. The maturity that is portrayed in its messaging is done exceedingly well. You see, Megan is more than the young adolescent horror movie of jump scares. Megan is a mature, sophisticated movie that is disguised in a mature facade. This makes it palatable for a lot of people to sit and digest important topics about our society, our children, and where we're going with technological extremes. Today I'm going to break down and explain Megan, not in a simple one-part series but in a couple of episodes. That's because how good this movie really is, and because Megan exposes a dark side of our humanity, and our addiction to technology, blindly inventing but never really contemplating what it means. Megan shined a light on the way we treat our children, and the dangers we are exposing our children to through technology, and through neglect. Megan shows how technology doesn't actually improve a lot of the lives that we say it does, but it masterfully illustrated how we become less connected to each other socially. Megan allows us to excuse ourselves from the human family. Basically, we sign off and sign back onto an artificial world by our own creation that is sterile, but void of any sort of life. To begin with, Megan is far more than its campy but effective marketing strategy of the out-of-control dancing doll. This is demonstrated through the rare unification of critics and audiences. When the tsunami of dissension merges into a collective unification of both the critics and audiences about a movie, that's the moment. Plus, for the critics and audience to agree on a movie that should be a simple, horror popcorn flick, that to me signifies that there's something more to this movie. So let me break down the first part of this explanation of Megan. We're going to start from the beginning with Katie's parents and what they represent. Katie has a father called Ryan and a mother named Ava. From their very introduction we see their full dysfunction on display, behavior which is illustrated through the parents bickering. Plus the fact that Katie is not very happy in the back of the car. We also see this through the father's behavior, and how he treats his family on a dangerous road trip, with dangerous weather conditions, and yet he doesn't put the proper safety measures in place. He neglects to put snow chains on the wheels to protect his family on this trip. To make matters worse, the situation between both parents escalates as each one of them instigates the other with more bickering. This elevates the situation to dangerous levels, where the operation of the vehicle is at risk, and because of these distractions this puts not only their lives in danger, but their daughters too. This is a perfect introduction to how the story plays out, each thread tangled with each other, nothing separate. The fact is, modern parenting is governed more than ever by technological babysitters. Whether artificial nanny comes in the form of a TV, computer, phone or anything given, technology taking the place of good parenting is a mistake. That is illustrated perfectly throughout this entire movie. The sad part is Katie's parents end up getting in a bad accident and lost their life, but the one who loses the most is Katie. Next we're introduced to Gemma. Gemma is Katie and Gemma is played by Allison Williams. She does a great job. I believe that her character represents the collective mindset of all of us, in a society that's becoming less connected, more callous, and more insensitive to the emotional needs of ourselves, and to our neighborhoods. This is seen throughout the very introduction of her to her niece. She doesn't know how to relate to her at all, not just on a surface level, she doesn't know how to relate to her at all, connectively, emotionally. The empathy that should be natural is not there. In other words, she cannot see Katie's pain.
Megan's not a person, Katie.
You don't get to say that.
Gemma's introduction is so profound, because it reflects in a subtle, but an extremely large way, that she is dysfunctional, because despite the fact that she appears to have a successful job, her home is empty and devoid, family and love. Although it appears to live in a decent neighborhood, she doesn't get along with her neighbors. She can't even grieve her sister in a normal way. And everything she does is for herself, her job is for herself. Even though she feels she's doing something good, it's for herself, Even the technology she invented is so that she can have more time to herself.
So we found someone else to pick up the slack.
Kitty, flush the toilet.
The really sad part of all this selfishness is both Katie, plus Megan are her victims. This concludes part 1 of this series about Megan, because I believe there's so much to this seemingly simple horror sci-fi movie that it doesn't do it justice by trying to cram it in all just one video. So because that in part 2 I'm going to start to delve into Megan and Gemma. What they represent as a tandem. I'm also going to address the protagonist. The real protagonist is not so obvious. Megan may seem like a renegade out of control robot, but that's really not the case if you take into account who Megan really is, so thanks for watching the video.